I'm sure you know this, but midterm elections are this Tuesday. Yes. Now, maybe you early voted like my wife and I did. If so, it's too late to change your vote. That is, unless, of course, you live in one of those states where you can just let a dead person vote for you again. But for most of us, we know we only get one ride, and once we use our ticket, we're done. There are a lot of factors that might influence your vote, and I realize that your focus might be different than mine. But just for the record, here's how I decide how to vote. And it isn't straight party voting, even though I am indeed a Republican. Above all, I will not support or vote for a candidate who believes that it's okay to kill an unborn baby for any reason at any time. I just won't. I personally am deeply committed to the science of life that holds that a human life begins at conception and is loved by and purposed by God, and that we should protect life until natural death. Now, look, I know there are some people who maybe hold to certain exceptions, but I simply don't think any person is worthless, expendable, disposable, or of less value than another person. Even a pregnancy that may have started by an evil act can be used by God for an eternal purpose. As Joseph told his brothers, Genesis, what you intended for harm, God has used for good. It's nice to support candidates who agree with my views on border security, taxes, support for the police, and energy policy. But the deal breaker for me is that I just won't support a person who thinks it's okay to kill babies. My political action committee, HuckPAC, is going to give over $4 million directly to candidates across America this election cycle. And every one of them has to declare that they're pro-life. I simply don't know how I can even pray and say, God bless America, if I'm also helping to elect people who would be part of infanticide. It's especially troubling that while black people make up only 13% of the population, over 39% of all abortions are performed on black babies. More black babies are aborted in New York City than are even born in New York City. Targeting black children for death? Look, I think that's the most blatant form of racism. And I don't know why any black voter would vote for a politician who would support targeting black babies for slaughter. And if you're a Christian and you're troubled by voting for someone whose personal life is less than stellar, maybe even scandalous, look, I understand your struggle. I really do. I mean, let's face it, though, some doctors have horrible bedside manner, but they're great surgeons. And if the operation is to save the life of my family member, quite frankly, I want the best surgeon, not necessarily the nicest one. The mail carrier who brings my mail is a very nice person. But even if she wasn't, I'd really prefer one who got my mail to me accurately each day, but who was rude and unfriendly, over one who was sweet and kind, but misdelivered 40% of my mail or just plain lost it. And if the mechanic who works on my car or the plumber who fixes my faucet is the nicest guy in town, but my car still won't get out of the driveway and I've got water knee-deep in my house, hey, I'll take a grouchy mechanic or a grouchy plumber any day, because I'm picking performance over personality, and in politics, principles over personality. Sure, I'd love to have the people working for me to all love God, pray a lot, memorize Scripture, and sing in the church choir. But I hire people to get a specific job done. And if they can't or won't do it, I'll fire them, and I'll get someone who can or who will. And even if you think you're voting for a nice person, they may not be that nice after all. If a candidate you support doesn't serve according to your principles of what's right or wrong, then you're supporting policies that are going to adversely impact your family and perhaps your religious liberty. Hey, I'd love for all the candidates I vote for to be godly and spiritual. But as my boyhood pastor used to say, God can hit a straight lick with a crooked stick. So I don't vote for those who will just lower my taxes. I want to vote for those who will fight for the issues that I care about, even if they don't do it for the right reason. I'm really not as partisan as I probably seem. But I will admit that I've asked my family one major request, that when I die, please don't let me vote Democrat. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, I hope you will now. The button is just below this video, and there's a little bell next to it. If you click on those, YouTube will reluctantly start letting you know when we've got a new video uploaded.